And now for the continuation of our international part, we seize the opportunity of the presence and registration of Maria Grigoratou at our Swiss Polar Day to ask her whether she would say a few words about the European Polar Board, of which she is the director. The European Polar Board is an organization which the Swiss Polar Institute is a member of on behalf of Switzerland, and which brings together all the organizations in Europe which are active in either Arctic or Antarctic or both research. And one of the aims is, of course, to connect them, but also to activate lobbying for polar questions in Brussels. And we should not forget that the EU Framework Programme is the largest public funding source for research in the world. So it's very important also for us in Switzerland, even though we know it's not always the easy ride that we would like it to be, but it's still extremely important. So Maria, the floor is yours.
So thank you very much. It's been really nice being here, and I was very excited with everything I've heard so far. I don't know if I can meet the standards, but here we go. So as Daniela said, we're a membership organization. We have 30 years of experience gathering institutional and national voices and connect them with regional and international activities. And since January, we're based in Umea or Umbeye in Sapmi. Our mission is to enhance the European coordination for polar research by improving information sharing and optimized infrastructure sharing and accessibility and use, and identify ways for joint activities between the members. So our vision is to unify it, but yet still present a diverse European polar research voice where members can still see their priorities reflected in this collective effort. And we also have an interest in this science policy interface where we want to make science relevant to the policy and also and to the society, and also to show to the society the relevance of science. Some of our strengths is that we have a very comprehensive and diverse membership. As Daniela said earlier, we have 31 members from 22 countries around Europe, EU and non-EU members. And we have a mix of members. So we have academies and research institutes, ministries, logistic operators, and funders. So this helps us to have a more holistic perspective on what we mean by polar research and what are the challenges and the opportunities. We also have a polar vision, and we're one of the few organizations that take care equally about the Arctic and Antarctic in the globe. And we also have strong European and international partners. Here's just an example of some key polar organizations and partners that we're working closely, either with memorandum of understanding or with close dialogues and collaborations. We're also present in the EU world. We can join projects, and we have done this successfully for many years. And here's just a list of active and former projects. We usually contribute in the science policy and the dissemination of science. And we're also one of the coordinators of the EU Polar Cluster platform, which I don't have time to go into the details, but it's just a very important platform for coordinating the polar funding EU projects and then help to have an active science policy dialogue. But we're also active on shaping opinions or statements on decisions or policies that coming from the Commission. And we are independent from the Commission, and we present this collective voice of our members. And as Daniela mentioned before, this year is very critical because it launches the official negotiations for the next long-term funding from 2028 to 2034, and that includes research as well. So in May, we published a call asking for the community to support and sign, where we highlight to the decision makers the importance and the benefits of having sustained polar research funding at the EU level. And we already have more than 900 signatures. I will welcome you to check our call, and if you feel that this resonates with you, please sign it because it's still going. And this is important because these discussions will continue until 2027, and then it's the implementation. And every year, then you have the annual work programs where they also decide how much funding it's going to go to polar research. So having a strong statement now does not help only the negotiations that are happening at the moment, but also ongoing until 2032. Continuing that, we also made then in June, we sent a letter to all the members of the European Parliament, all the prime ministers of the member states, ministries and the Commission, explaining in a bit more details, but still brief, what are the benefits and the importance of continuing having dedicated funding for polar research, and that this is not just a luxury investment, but a strategic important investment for everything we do in Europe. The discussions started officially in July, and we also made a statement. And at the moment, we are preparing an updated response that we're going to promote and make it public and send it again to the Commission, that has more specific links of polar research with priorities that they see for their future funding. And we also just yesterday sent a response about the call that the Commission opened regarding the European Research Area Act that will define the strategy and the policy of the funding for research moving forward. So I don't want to say more on that. I just want to show that EPB is very important because it brings this European collective voice on things that matters and the high-level decisions. So it's important that we have all these diverse members to help us build that and capture a lot of different perspectives and ideas. And continuing a little bit with this European and EU world, I just want to say that since January 2025, we have this European Polar Coordination Office, which I don't have the time to go into details, but it aims to continue the hard work that some two successful projects, EU PolarNet, did for 10 years. It was the largest project in the world coordinating the polar research in Europe. And SPI, it was also a member of that. It was a very important project. And now we continue with EPCO, and the aim is to support and enhance the coordination across the European polar research community at the EU level. So all these funding projects that are happening. And function as a central coordination and contact point for the European polar research, including policy and decision makers with emphasis the Commission. We have a very skilled expert that joined EPCOM, and she's a really nice person. And if any of you are involved in EU funding projects, or you will be involved in the future, you will be reached by Kali in one way or another. And I want to finish a little bit my presentation thinking a little bit how EPB also helps the broader community, not only the members. So we mentioned about the National Polar Year 5, that it's upcoming, and we also have the new Cryosphere Decade from the United Nations. So of course, all our members, they contribute in their own way, and they have their own priorities and their own plans. But and some of our members are already really actively involved in the planning committees and everything. But with EPB, we have this opportunity to bring this collective voice into these initiatives. And we have a strong foot in both of them. So we are part of the planning group for IPY5, and we have established connections with Cryosphere Decade. We have joined a lot of high-level activities they did by setting the objectives and the activities they want to do in Paris, and also at the UN Ocean Conference that happened in Nice in June. And we are in the ad hoc committee advising the UNESCO how they should build this decade. So it's really important that Europe collectively has a strong voice in this important initiative from the beginning. And why does it matter for all of us here? Well, first, through EPB, if we sit as an organization, we can promote actions and guide institutions and countries how they can contribute to these initiatives, that as they go, they can also increase in complexity, and sometimes it's not easy to follow everything. We act as this strong communication bridge between international partners and European partners. And we increase the awareness and the engagement with a strong polar focus. If we also add now the EU-funded projects in that via EPCO, then we aim to coordinate and communicate and promote the European Polar Research voice in a broader audience. And we're looking how EPB can create an opportunity for cross-cutting activities between different organizations so we can reduce duplication and invest our powers to create a stronger impact when, of course, this is relevant and appropriate. We also want to work collectively for research prioritizations that they will emerge through the IPY5 and the decades, and how we can create the ground for enhanced collaborations. And last but not least, for us, it's very important to have the early careers present and very active in these stages, because whatever it's been decided, if you don't have the early careers there, it will never be succeed. So this is all I wanted to say. And thank you very much for your time. This is our contact information if you want to hear more about us. And I will be around for the rest of the day. Thank you.